I was admiring myself in the new ring light that I just bought, the desktop version, because things have been happening. Things have been happening. Y'all see my shorts are lit. Definitely still, like the title says, is it retrograde still? Is it retrograde still? Why am I asking that on October the 3rd, 2022, when yesterday, Mercury went direct again after a crazy retrograde in Libra and back in Virgo. 1 second. Hey. So, Mercury in retrograde 3rd time this year, and then the last one is on the 2nd to last day of the year, 3rd to last day. In the air signs, we're talking about big communication and big relating, having to deal with thyself and how you reflect others, how you relate to others. Who do you choose to be around you? That's all air energy. That's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And we got a lot of air energy. And all of them are in retrograde or about to go retrograde or just left retrograde. So Mercury is back in Virgo, which what it rules. Going back into Libra, of course, because it's moving direct again. Almost nervous about that because you're going to have to revisit the stuff that you didn't handle. It's not like a lesson. It's not like you need to review it again. You have to handle it now. We are in the post shadow of Mercury retrograde. It's only 1 day after. And it's like the smoke has to clear and there's still little wars happening around. Then we have Mars going in retrograde in Gemini, another air sign that is in the shadow period now and getting ready to start at the end of October. We're at the beginning. Then you have Saturn in Aquarius, which has been like, we're going to talk about the aspects too, but the Uranus, the Saturn and Uranus, both in retrograde right now, squaring each other. Energy is going on right now too. So this is why it still feels like a retrograde. This is why it still feels like shit is going on. This is why I'm still going off on the girl. She had to delete her page or block me somehow from YouTube. I went on my other 5 pages that I ever had, or 5 emails that I use for YouTube. And it looks like she shut down her page. I don't know. Hope you're reevaluating what you did. Because that was a whack-ass hour that you wasted, mine and whoever else watched that. Whatever. You had 24 views and 12 of those were mine. So, like, whatever, 11 other people watched it. Probably some of my folks. But, yeah, you have to reevaluate everything. Just dealing with everything. Especially your relationships. With everything, not just people, not just places and things, with everything. Saturn and Aquarius, let's get to that when we talk about Venus trining Saturn, because Venus is in Libra as well, which is its home too. So with Venus in Libra, it's like enjoy this peace because it's home, and it's glad to be home, because when Venus moves into Scorpio, which is one of my placements, which is one of the hardest placements I deal with, next to Mercury and Sagittarius. That girl had Venus in Scorpio and Mercury and Sagittarius too. So we was both talking shit to each other, and we was both toxic as fucking. It's not that Venus in Scorpio is toxic, it's that Venus in Scorpio feels like our desires should be always in the negative state, or we should always pick the wrong people. We should always, or we always will. Not we should, but we always will. And while that can feel like that when you have this placement, Venus and Scorpio, and I know I'm all over the place, stay with me. You still need to tap into the higher powers of every sign, that in every placement, in every planet, in every house that you have. Always tap into the higher energy. But we're still trying to figure out why this energy is so wild. And technically, from now until whenever, whenever the collective learns it. There's a lot of lessons going on right now. We had 6 retrogrades, now it's 5. The 5 are Chiron, which is the wounded healer asteroid. Pluto is in retrograde until the 8th. Saturn is in retrograde until the 23rd, 8th and 23rd of October. Then we still have Jupiter in retrograde, getting ready to go back into Pisces. Then we still have, and Chiron is in Aries too. We have the full moon in Aries, Jupiter and Chiron doing some things next week too, but Neptune is also in retrograde. And did I say Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, and Chiron. And then Saturn and Uranus are squaring in both retrograde. So this is like reevaluating both worlds. This is like what can come to the new world and what is done. And nothing is going to be done without a fight. These are both Capricorn and Aquarius ruled signs. Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius, and Uranus rules Aquarius. More air energy. So those are the 5 retrogrades, and then we have Mars going into retrograde, which is why it's going to be in Gemini for a long time. I want to talk a little bit about Mars in Aries in retrograde back in 2020, starting around January, February. Do y'all remember what happened in January and February? Give me a second. Okay, I have a correction. This is why it happened. Mars was in Pisces. Pisces has to do a lot with illusions. It has to do with medicines. It has to do with drugs and dreams and overly spiritual and overly emotional endings. And then when Mars moved into Aries in 2020, it was the start of a new energy because Mars rules Aries aggressively, right? So I was incorrect. It was still in Mars in Pisces. It was not in retrograde in early January, February, what it was, Mars in Pisces. So we were ending the cycle of, in my truth or opinion, we were ending the cycle of the drugs and the spirituality that we've been taught. Because Pisces also is not only ruled by Neptune, which is the plane of illusions and dreams. It's also the plane of forgiveness. But Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter, which is the beliefs. So it's ending a lot of the beliefs. So because some of us know that time travels, because some of us know that we can be in different dimensions, there in the beginning of 2020, with it being in like an ending, with it being in the ending sign Pisces, the information is over. The information that not the information, but the illusions are over. So what I'm saying about the different dimensions and time traveling is because something happened in 2020 when Mars was ending its cycle. So back to Mars and Aries. Mars moved out of Pisces and into Aries in Leo season of 2020, August 2020. In August of 2020, as a matter of fact, I was working, this was definitely the Mars and Pisces happened in the beginning of the year when, when COVID-19 hit. And around August most people were working from home, right? And the kids finished school and all that. This was the summer when they were getting ready to go back into school. And I was working for the census. And this is kind of when when Mars moved into Aries, because it's the beginning sign, it's a personal sign. It's the first sign that has to do with self, ego, leadership, bravery, aggressiveness, selfishness. I feel like everybody became a little selfish around him. And it was brought to our attention that we need to change our lives at this time. And some of us were kind of selfish about changing our lives. Or, which, you know, you should be, self-care. But now that we're in the air signs with Mars and Gemini, that has to do with both sides of yourself. The truth and the lies you've been telling yourself. Was just listening to Dane Calloway too. This is the perfect time to quote this. The fact checking versus truth telling part of yourself. Really briefly, the difference in fact checking and truth telling is that facts are debatable. Facts are opinions or perspectives, and they can be created. So whereas, you know, how do we know that a long time ago 1 + 1 didn't equal 2? Who was the one that decided that? Who's the one that decided number one? Who's the one that decided that a plus is a plus and it means add things together? Who decided the word add? Y'all get what I'm saying? And then truth telling is common sense. It is being logical. It is also undeniable and undebatable. You ever get in a moment where you are talking to someone and you are giving them truths and they go, oh yeah, that makes sense, or I didn't think about that, or I can't argue with that? That's when you're truth telling. All right, so back to Aries, and let me, 1 second. So back to this reason we feel like we're still in retrograde still is because there are big upcoming aspects that are either in the air signs or even with this full moon in Aries conjuncting 2 planets and fire signs that are both in retrograde, or 1 planet, 1 asteroid. Again, dealing with self. The full moon in Aries is going to bring out the bravery in you. I dare you to get yourself together energy. And it is not only opposing the sun, which is dealing with our relationships with everybody, and the Mercury retrograde we just came out of, so it'll be opposing Mercury in a minute. I think it may not get, I don't know, it has to, something. But Mercury's going to go back into Libra, I don't think, in time for, I think, after the full moon. So not opposing Mercury, but we're going to talk about Mercury opposing Jupiter, because Mercury will go back into Libra and Jupiter is in Aries, so those are the opposite signs. But conjunct Chiron, meaning I dare you heal. I dare you find out what back in the day you didn't handle in your childhood when you first got here. Stuff you put out your memory. Because remembering is very important. I can't wait till my grandson gets here, because I'm literally going to talk to him so that he can remember his past life and tell me something. Or we will telepathically talk. But yeah. The full moon will also be conjunct Jupiter, which is basically expanding on your truths and beliefs. Jupiter in retrograde. What did you believe? What were your truths? Expanding on that. And then the moon emotionally shining light, because it's full on right back at Jupiter. And then it's expansion, making it a big deal to find out what is your beliefs versus reality. Mars will square Neptune. Mars squaring Neptune is a big deal. And so is Mercury opposing Jupiter, because they both have to deal with bringing out the truth beyond the lies. Because Neptune and Jupiter both are the rulers of Pisces. Neptune is currently in Pisces, which is its home, and Jupiter is currently in Aries, which is not its home, but Jupiter rules another fire sign, Sagittarius. So this is just like with Mars square Neptune, this is aggressively checking on like what has been told to us. Neptune is in retrograde. The illusions are coming out. It's like, I really get mind boggled because some people just don't pay attention to things that are right in front of their eyes. For example, so I was watching the news earlier today, and I was watching only because I was at a place where the news is always on. And it just reminded me, which is what I think Mars and Neptune is going to aggressively do. And these are upcoming, like they're just starting to go in. The main one happening this week is Saturn square Uranus. I think a trine with Pluto and the moon right now, because the moon is in Capricorn. A conjunction, I'm sorry. And the full moon in Aries. But next week, the Mars and Neptune energy, I think, is like leading us into realizing some of the stuff that we see has been obvious, and we just been in denial about it, in delusion. So I'm a tall woman. Just for the people that don't know me, big stretch marks, even keloids from stretch marks, right? Real woman. 44, about to be 45, it's Scorpio season. But there are plenty of what is now called trans women, but there have been trans women, especially in front of cameras. So I would challenge you all during this aspect to check out Mars squaring Neptune by checking the necks of women on television. As you see, mine, even at my age, has no, no Adam's apple, because they're not for us. They're from men. It is a male detail, characteristic. Our necks are shorter too, as men's necks are longer, so they can have that space for that Adam's apple. If you see an Adam's apple print in a woman, that is not a woman. If you see several lines in her neck, that is from Adam's apple surgery. I might have a few wrinkles, but no surgery, no. That is the bottom of my neck. I mean the bottom of my chin to my neck. Check the ears. So I'm a woman with a woman-sized ear. Men have really big ears. I'm a tall woman, so yes, my hand is big. But as you can see, still, there's like a determination between the index finger and this. So the index finger is longer on us, and the ring finger is shorter. And on the men, it's the opposite way. The ring finger is taller. There's so many ways. The shoulders, even though I'm a tall woman, I still have dainty shoulders. You know, let's not talk about muscles. Broad shoulders are big. Look at some people that do identify themselves accurately as trans people. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm snacking like crazy. Got the munchies as usual. Let's move on. So, just to wrap up these aspects and then wrap up this video. Mercury will go back into Libra next week. I'm just doing like the first half of October, because October is Scorpio season, like we said. Libra is justice, Scorpio is loyalty. So put those two together, justice and loyalty. Who wouldn't want that? because Libra and Scorpio are both relationship signs. Libra has to do with what we relate, how we relate to people, in the way we desire like a relationship, and the way we want harmony and peace in our relationship. And then Scorpio gets down to the intimate parts of relationships. That is why Scorpio is a sex sign, because when you're in a Scorpio relationship, you're in a loving, sex having relationship, and that is intimate. Not only that, Scorpios are the rulers of investigation, being detectives, getting down below the surface where others will not see, because a lot of people like surface energy, which is nothing wrong with that, but there's definitely something under surface, and that is what Scorpio relationships and intimate relationships have to deal with. Being loyal because you gave a Scorpio, or you gave the Scorpio energy of loyalty because you shared your deepest, darkest, intimate parts of you. Justice, on the other hand, harmony and peace with Libra. It's like you are relating and understanding what needs to be understood in relationships. And then when you tie it to Scorpio, because once you get a better understanding, you get a deeper understanding. Scorpio is deep, intimate again, and when you get to those hidden parts of the relationship, it's nothing but going up from there. It's like you are been reborn. Oh, I found out this about you. Now I can be free. Now I can tell you and share with you because you shared so deeply with me. All right, which is what I thought I had in that relationship. But Scorpio rising be like, you know, some people don't want to tap into their risings because they don't know. Or some of them are just using the toxic parts of their rising, which is what I did with my Libra rising. Definitely, my Libra rising had me not wanting to harmonize or be peaceful. My Libra rising is also called Libra ascendant. Rising is also called ascendant, so your descendant. My descendant is in Aries, the opposite sign. Don't want peace. I want problems always. But yeah, when we are, the only way we're going to get to the deepest, darkest, intimate, hidden parts of us, with Scorpio being in the South Node too, is to go through it. This is why we still feel like we're in retrograde, because we're about to go through it. We're literally in the relationship sign of Libra, and everything is going to leave Libra, especially Mercury, and go directly into Scorpio. And that's when it's really going to be on and popping. And those of us Scorpios, or those of us with Scorpio placements, especially the millennials, because they have the Pluto in Scorpio, it's like you're never scared. It doesn't make me want to go through it, but you're the right person to go through it. All right. Last two I'm going to talk about is Mercury opposing Jupiter again. Mercury, the plane of communication, is having some conflicts. Mercury with the plane of conversation in Libra. And relating. Libra wants to relate, and Jupiter in Aries is busy starting a new cycle on expansion and beliefs and luck. And this is like more truths to that conversation. The conversation from Mercury is, listen, if we're going to be able to relate to each other, you need to start off your new cycle with the truth. And if you're not going to start your new cycle off with the truth, it's going to be a problem. Mercury is the personal planet, how we all feel, what we all want to say. And then opposing Jupiter, Jupiter got to start off right, especially now that it's in retrograde and get ready to go back into Pisces. The reason it's doing that, y'all, is because we didn't end right. we didn't have the right beliefs leaving Pisces, and now we gotta come back at it again. That's what retrogrades are about. As soon as they end, Mercury just ended yesterday. Now we gotta go back through it again because we learned something. And Jupiter rewards you, which is the fun part of this aspect. Once you communicate, once you have that conversation next week, when Mercury's opposing Jupiter, don't give me the dates, but I know it's next week, because Mercury has to get back into Libra to oppose Jupiter before it goes into Pisces. They both are crossing paths because one is direct and one is retrograde. They have to have this conversation before Mercury goes into Scorpio, which is when we're going to be talking about all these secrets and conversating more about how we're relating to people. And Jupiter goes back into Pisces, which is a water sign, so they'll be sextile. They'll be helping each other. They'll be compatible energy. Mercury in Scorpio is like, yeah, this is what's been going on. This is the secret. Mars will tell you, because Mars is in retrograde in Gemini. You know, Geminis can be chatty. Definitely all these air signs. And then Jupiter's going to be like, in Pisces, like, damn, I didn't even think about that. I was too busy dreaming. Let me wrap this up. You see what I'm saying? These aspects are killers, man. Hey, y'all better get ready. Last, Venus trining. So trine is quick, fast, positive, usually energy. This is the opportunity because Venus is in its home sign of Libra. Venus is going to have an opportunity to reconnect. This is what one I'm trying to figure out who I'm about to reconnect with. Why does it still feel like retrograde when you got to reconnect with your ex? Maybe it's not going to be her. Maybe it's not going to be them. Maybe it's not going to be ex-friends. Maybe I'm going to reconnect with what or who I need to reconnect with. But this is the opportunity to reconnect. Venus loves love, relationships, beauty, all things Libra and Taurus. Whatever you desire. Now, the trick part of this trine, though, is Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn been in Aquarius since the conjunction of 2020 at the end of December, so it's getting ready to leave Aquarius and going to Pisces, which is a big deal too. But it's in retrograde, so Saturn in Aquarius has been going on since the lockdown, since the people, because Aquarius has to do with groups of people, which is why a lot of us left some groups. I did re-invite some people back into my life, but I still want to keep my deuces to a lot of people. And Saturn Aquarius energy is the old school of Saturn being the ruler of Aquarius as well as Capricorn. A lot of these planets are in their ruling planets too. A lot of these signs are in their ruling planets. Neptune, Venus, not Jupiter. Y'all know what I'm talking about. There's like 3 of them. Oh, Neptune. I already said Neptune. Venus is in Libra. Saturn in Aquarius. Because Saturn is the former, ruler of Aquarius. And because when you are in your ruling sign, I still feel like I'm forgetting one, y'all. Mercury's in Virgo. That's the other one. Right. So Mercury's in Virgo, getting ready to go back into Libra next week. But Saturn in Aquarius is those people that told you that if you didn't join their little group of people that believe that in Coco 19 that you're gonna die or you deserve to die. You remember them? I got this from Cam White today when he did his weekly thing last week. Shout out to Cam White always. But he made me remember that. Saturn Aquarius, lockdowns, gotta get the shots. Sorry. Gotta get the jab. You know, if you don't get the jab, you can't go to work. You're gonna die. You deserve to die. You can't be over here with the cool kids. Ready for Saturn to go into Pisces. Because this is like the planet, Saturn of responsibility. It's giving us so much responsibility at this time and so much change. Saturn square Uranus is reevaluating those both worlds. What are we going to take with us to the new world? What are we going to change? So that is briefly and long what is going on and why we still feel like we're in retrograde. That is the upcoming aspects that you better expect and be. There's no way to be prepared. Just be aware. Be aware, especially that Mars square Neptune. Be aware and stop letting the rose-colored glasses over your eyes take over your lives. TMZ teaching everyone abundantly. Empowerment is the key. Enlightening every day. This is Get a Life Astrology. We are growing into divine adults, loving ourselves forever. And at almost 11:11 on this last little clip, I'm going to tie in together with the rest of the video. Peace and chicken gravy.